The Voyager Golden Records are time capsules launched by NASA containing information about humanity and our planet sent into space in 1977. This virtual record is a time capsule with stories, feelings, thoughts, and worlds of VRChat being sent into digital space in the SpaceJam of 2026. What was your first experience in VRChat like?
I'm having this inception moment where I'm in my headset in my studio in VRChat inside another game into the real world. And I was just like, this is the most mind-bending, mind-blowing, most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life. I am in love with this and I am not gonna leave.
This is such pure, innocent fun that I'm having right now that I haven't experienced since I was a child.
And I physically couldn't breathe because I was actually that amazed. I didn't believe the saying, take your breath away, until that moment.
Very laggy. A lot of people told me that it was going to be kind of like disorienting because I've never worn a headset before. Found out they had Uno. Spent like 3 months playing Uno in VRChat.
Joining a random instance, not knowing what the hell I was supposed to do.
I was very confused as aimlessly wandering around, not entirely sure what's going on. So I guess I was more utter confused, if anything. But I eventually started blending in with the weird, and now it's my normal.
I was too anxious to actually go into any public lobbies, so until finally I found small communities that I felt comfortable joining. Helping Hands, the Trans Academy.
Because with me, AltSpace and VRChat are quite closely linked, especially because when AltSpace came down, lots of us flooded over here.
Because I actually came with a bunch of friends from AltSpace, and what kept me there is that I found out, wait! You can make your own avatars? I just stayed there making a hyper-realistic version of myself for 2 weeks.
Just seeing an immense amount of people just being pedantic nerds and just having a dang old good time.
I was going to be just the character Vinny. I'm going to do the voice all the time. I started talking and connecting with people, and immediately that hooked on.
I'd started with the dream of wanting to be a virtual performer. TVRS kind of brought me into VRChat, and so to be able to get to perform for them was a huge honor.
How did you meet your first or closest friends?
I remember being so nervous going up to some of my friends things.
I wanted to be around the like-minded creative types. That's how I met Vinny. It was a Metaverse Crew meetup.
And I remember finishing up talking about Altered Evil, and then I was like, okay, because you were picking the person that goes next. Who's in the very back of the room? Who's trying to hide? Come on up here. And that was Training Fangs.
And I went over and we started chit-chatting, and within a week we were making films together.
And I went to one of Fia's events. That was where I met Training Fangs and Altered Evil. And so I went over and I just introduced myself. I was like, I heard that you guys are into music. Tell me about it. Tell me what you do. That led to them being my closest friends.
I would say I probably met them, most of them, through Gopal and Kinsey.
I bumped into Training Fangs and just a random group of friends. Eventually through Fangs, I ended up meeting Gopal. Through both of them, I ended up meeting some of my favorite people ever.
It is a way for me to connect with my friends that are across the sea in a much more personal way than any voice call could never achieve.
I've gone to meet up with some of these people in real life.
Living in Japan, there are not many opportunities to interact with people from other countries, and becoming new friends are very special to me. They always make me happy and give me energy. Those precious moments inspired me to give something back, which became one of the reasons I started running my current Japanese learning community, Japanichijo.
Even though we don't share the same language, we are trying our best to have a good friendship, and I think she's my best friend.
It's oh, that's weird, I have you on here already. I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably under, dead name. It's that was you? Because in those 5 months, I had not only changed my name, but I had completely changed my voice. He had actually transitioned in the meantime too.
What does VRChat mean to you?
Another chance at life. I have no idea who I'd be now if it wasn't for VR.
Considering that I, of course, am a transgender person, so I can just pick whichever avatar that relatively helps with my dysphoria. It brings me comfort to be in VRChat, gives me the experience to seek comfort in myself and interact with people in ways which I couldn't do in other online spaces.
Basically, anything that you want to do here, your imagination is the only limit. I've been able to become my favorite version of myself and somebody that I am really proud of. tackled a lot of fears through here, especially like being shy, which is something that I've struggled with for a really long time.
Yeah, just like any moment where I get to just like meet a random person and shotgun a tiny friendship into it, that maybe I meet them again, maybe I don't, but it's a little Doctor Who-y.
There's always something crazy going on, something awesome.
Like, take this, okay? It's dark outside, it's cold outside. But I would like to be in a place like this on a roof or somewhere with a nice sunset, with the grass waving. It's awesome, right?
From the time I was a little kid, I imagined something like this. Actually, the reality of it is beyond anything that I imagined.
It means almost infinite possibilities. You're able to connect with lots of different people who are interested in making lots of different types of art and music from all over the world.
If you go find a community that is suited for you, you will have a blast of the time.
Like, everybody has an incredible community in this platform.
Here's a blank canvas, make something out of it.
VRChat to me is essentially a place where I can have that community, have those friends, have a home. Having that to rely on at the end of the day, whether it be a stressful day or an amazing day, is really, honestly, comforting.
I cannot live without VRChat or something similar. It's become a part of my life. I play it too much.
Everything that we have here is just as real as the real world.
What was your favorite moment in the game?
Right here is a tree in Haranka in Project Aincrad. Underneath that tree, we have 2 swords. That is to represent 2 people who met here in Project Aincrad, got together IRL, got married, and now have a kid.
I met my now girlfriend, funnily enough, in the Trans Academy.
When that egg finally cracked and I admitted who I was, who I'd always been, just a couple weeks after that, a new world popped up called Trans Academy. I ended up volunteering for them for over a year.
Improv class at the Trans Academy. Whoopsie daisy, every one of my friends was an improviser, and then they started inviting me to every other improv thing.
One day I saw some people in the middle of Trans Academy doing improv of all things. I joined them and it turns out they were hosting an improv beginners workshop. A year later, I was teaching my own class.
So when it got shut down, and then in the moment that we actually banded together, it's like, hey, we don't want improv to die out, and then made Skits and Bits.
It really struck a special chord with me when we did HorrorCon for Skits and Bits. I severely underestimated how big the audience would be.
Acting in the short films for Skits and Bits. I just love being in the world when it premieres and hearing everyone's laughter. That warms my heart.
My first virality, the first one I ever went to was Umbra. Kind of reminded me of Tatooine from Star Wars.
During Virality Silva, I made the most friends I had at the time in just a couple of days.
We went into VRChat with the mission, okay, we'll find some Japanese people for you to practice Japanese with. And we actually found a person, but they were not Japanese. They were from Switzerland.
She stopped everything, even though it was after the show. She told everyone to go off the stage and she did a 5-minute dance just for my sake.
I happened to start this whole open mic in the wake of the cancelled event that a lot of performers were inspired to come up and start singing on stage.
I sat down on the floor with someone else who also had full body, and we were just sitting there playing patty cake, fully immersed. I don't know, it just felt like a very, very surreal moment.
Well, I decided I kind of wanted to try to join a community called the Dimensional Postal Service, which really became the leader of this group. We made our own choreography, and then our goal was to teach it to the postal workers, and they had to get it right before we let them move on to the next the next part of the story.
If VRChat was shutting down soon, what would you do?
Oh, I don't like this question. It's gonna be a very sad time when it does.
No! I wouldn't be able to do that! It would be like the end of the world for me.
Well, I'd have a big old hefty cry first. That would be probably one of the biggest events of my life, and in not a very good way.
I would be devastated. I don't want to lose this.
I don't even want to imagine that. I will do everything I can to stop the service from shutting down.
I'd riot. Pitchforks and everything.
VRChat is nothing without the community. How does the community react?
I would be so depressed, but I would also hope that the memories that we have made here and the artworks that we have made here would be a stepping stone to whatever the next platform would become.
I would be very sad at first. Then I would go and I'd talk to as many of the devs as possible and say, let's make another one.
I think if that were to happen, we'd all miss VRChat very dearly and reminisce for the days where we had it. And I hope it really doesn't come to that, because I love this place, and I don't want to leave it.